The sky above prison moon Kairos 9 was always dark. It was a cold, dead placer rock floating in deep space, hidden behind gas clouds and forgotten star systems. But tonight, Kairos 9 was full of noise. Alien guards lined the upper levels of the execution arena. They wore thick armor, black and silver, with glowing red visors. Crowds of alien citizens filled the stands. They came from many planets, some with scales, others with fur, some with no eyes at all. But every face showed the same thing: excitement. Tonight, they would see the last human die. His name was Kale Strix. He was dragged out by 2 guards, his arms chained, his feet bare. His skin was bruised, his chest was cut, his face was calm. The crowd booed, shouted, threw things, but Kale didn't look at them. His eyes were locked on one thing: the tall, golden throne at the top of the arena. And on the alien sitting in it, Emperor Trazek, ruler of the Varkan Empire, leaned forward. His forearms rested on the edge of his seat. His thick mandibles clicked with interest. This was a rare moment. Humans had been nearly wiped out. The few that remained were scattered, hiding in dark corners of the galaxy. But Kale Strix wasn't hiding. He had killed 17 royal guards, burned 3 transport ships, and escaped from 6 different prisons. He had been caught last month on a ruined space station in the farthest belt, alive. The Emperor had ordered a special execution, that it would be done using the blood blade of Varkana curved ceremonial knife. Its edge was dull, so death would be slow, painful. A priest, stepped forward, holding the blade with shaking hands. The knife was ancient. It shimmered with green veins of energy, humming softly like a heartbeat. The crowd went quiet. The priest began the ritual words. Kale was forced to kneel in the center of the platform. His hands were still chained. Blood dripped from his lip, but his eyes never left the throne. When the priest finished speaking, he handed the knife to the imperial prince, the emperor's only son. The young prince smiled, stepped down the stairs slowly, and walked toward Kale with pride. "This is what becomes of humans," the prince said loudly. "Weak, broken, alone." Crowd cheered. Kale stayed silent. The prince raised the knife high. The moment had come, but then Kale moved faster than anyone in the arena could see. He threw himself upward, smashing his head into the prince's jaw. The prince stumbled. The knife slipped, and Kale caught it. Chains still on, hands bleeding. He caught it. Gasps echoed through the arena. Guards raised their weapons. The priest screamed, but before anyone could act, Kale stabbed. The knife went straight through the prince's chest, right between the ribs. The prince fell backward, choking, red blood pouring from his mouth. The sacred blood blade still stuck in his chest. The arena froze. Everything silence. Then chaos. Guards charged. Drones flew in from above. Crowd members screamed and pushed each other, trying to flee. But Kale didn't run. He stood calm, breathing heavy. Then he grabbed the knife again, pulled it, freoned, ran straight for the edge. Blaster fire burned the air around him. One shot clipped his shoulder, another hit the ground by his feet. But Kale didn't stop. He jumped 100 meters down, vanished into the smoke. 3 hours later, inside the control tower of Kairos 9, alarms still rang. Search teams had found nothing. Drones reported only heat shadows and burned out vents. The main gates were locked. The prison's AI was offline. The Emperor's royal ship had already left. But in the hallway near the warden's office, a single message was burned into the wall. "You took everything from me. Now I take everything from you." 7 days later, on the imperial capital world of Zarkol Prime, the footage of Kale's escape was leaked. It showed the moment he caught the knife, in slow motion, the moment he stabbed the prince, and the moment he disappeared. Alien leaders across the empire held emergency meetings. News screens on every planet played the same headline: "The knife killer escapes. Human threat level extreme." The emperor gave no statement, but a bounty was posted. 9.5 billion credits. Dead only in a small cargo ship near the edge of the empire, Kale sat alone in the dark. His wounds were wrapped in cloth. He held the knife in both hands. It hummed softly. It was no ordinary weapon. He didn't know why it reacted to him or why it changed shape in his grip. Sometimes it was long and sharp. Other times, it curved like a claw. It felt alive. But Kale didn't care about the knife. He only cared about them. The ones who took his sister, the ones who used him, the ones who thought they ended Earth and got away with it. He was coming for all of them, one by one. Back on Zarkol Prime, the Emperor stood alone in the throne room. A servant approached. "Trembling, sire," the servant whispered. "Some are saying the human is ... chosen, that he's bonded with the blood blade." The Emperor's mandibles clicked slowly. No, he said. He is not chosen. He is vengeance. It turned to the stars beyond the window, and now we will burn every planet he touches. But deep in the shadows of space, Kale smiled for the first time in years. He had escaped, he had the knife, and he had started a war. A war the Empire would never win, not against one human, not against him. The Varkan Empire ruled over 12,000 star systems. Every sector had its own governors, war fleets, and spy networks. For thousands of years they believed no one could threaten them, no one dared, until Kale Strix stabbed the prince, stole the sacred knife, and disappeared into deep space. Now, they were terrified of one man. And no one could stop him. The bounty was everywhere. Every holoscreen on every world played the same. Alert, wanted, Kale Strix, human male, extremely dangerous. Reward, 9.5 billion credits, dead only. Civilians were ordered to report all sightings. Soldiers were warned not to engage alone. And bounty hunters, they were lining up for the biggest payday in galactic history. On the moon world of Drexar, 3 bounty hunters met in a smoky tavern. One was a tall insectoid named Vrenki, with blade arms and eyes that could track heat from 5 kilometers away. Another, Darrow Vox, was a reptilian with a plasma cannon strapped to his back. The third Zayla wore human skin over a mechanical body. She had hunted humans before. Easy prey, Darrow laughed. He's wounded, he's alone, we track him, we kill him. Zayla shook her head slowly. You didn't watch the footage, did you? Darrow frowned. So what? He got lucky, he grabbed a knife. Zayla leaned in, her robotic fingers tapped the table. I saw the kill frame. Slowed to 1/4 speed. He moved before the prince swung. He knew the strike. That's not luck. That's programming, Vrenki hissed. Or prophecy. The others fell silent. 2 weeks after the escape, reports came in from a trade station on the planet Chesson Prime. A fuel tower had exploded during inspection. 20 guards dead. 1 storage drone missing. Security cams showed a human figure, moving through the smoke, untouched by flames. The knife shimmered in his hand. By the time soldiers arrived, the figure was gone. A single word had been carved into the steel floor. Remember. 3 days later, a mining colony on Jaxa 6 suffered a system failure. The oxygen fields shut down. Thousands of Varkon miners suffocated in minutes. At first, officials blamed a malfunction, until they found this in the code. You built this empire on bones. Now breathe your own death. No body was found. No ship spotted leaving orbit. But the Varkan Council began to panic. This is not a man, one said. He's a weapon we forgot we built, said another. Kale was not hiding. He was sending messages. On every world, he left a trace. A coded virus. A destroyed station. A dead general. Each time, the knife was involved. It could slice through steel, armor, even energy fields. Some said it pulsed with light. Others said it melted through time itself. But no one could catch him. The bounty hunters tried. Vrenki tracked Kale's scent to a jungle moon. He found Kale's camp empty, still warm. Then Vren's head was found hanging from a tree. Darrow Vox chased a false signal to an asteroid refinery. His ship was hacked before landing. He died when the reactor blew. Zayla came closest. She caught up with Kale on a derelict freighter drifting near a collapsed star. She saw him up close, blood on his shoulder, dust on his boots, knife in hand. He looked. Com. Zayla aimed her gun. They said you were a myth. Kale said nothing. You're not so special, she growled. Then the lights went out. A second later, her arm was gone. The knife had moved faster than she could think. Kale walked past her as she bled on the floor. I'm not special, he said. I'm angry. He didn't kill her, but he left her broken. Zayla never hunted again. The Empire grew desperate. Spy networks failed. Navy fleets were useless. Each time they thought they had him, he was already gone. Or worse, he was already inside. They sent psychics to track him. The psychic screamed after just one scan. His mind, they said, is filled with knives. A few days later, the psychics were found dead with their own weapons turned against them. The Empire's top strategist, Admiral Korik, gave a broadcast. This is not just one human. He is a symbol of chaos, of revenge, of death. We must eliminate him, or our empire will fall. But even Korik knew they were already too late. On a frozen transport ship drifting in Sector 7, Kale sat in silence. He cleaned the knife carefully. His wounds were healing, his mind focused. He opened a HOLA-map. One red dot blinked. The next target, the Varkan thought they were chasing him, but it was Kale who was hunting them. The Varkan Empire called it an impossible planet, Drenher Prima. Fortress world, triple shielded, guarded by 30 warships in orbit. No ships allowed to land without full clearance. Every building watched, every street patrolled. The planet stored three things: the genetic archives of half the Empire's species, the communication hubs for 27 nearby systems, and the fuel codes for the Empire's warfleet. If Drenhor fell, entire sectors would shut down, but no one believed that could happen, until one human changed everything. 7 days before the Thalia cargo ship approached Drenhar's orbit, old, rusted, and slow. Its ID matched a farming colony from the edges of space, harmless, unimportant, requesting docking access. The pilot said, "State your cargo," the station replied. "Medical supplies and fuel rods." They scanned the ship, no weapons, no signs of threat. Docking was approved, but what they didn't scan, what they couldn't scan, was the small sealed crate, hidden deep inside. Inside the crate sat a breathing mask, a cloak, and one long silver-bladed knife. 3 days before the fall in Drenhar's capital tower, technicians ran tests on the planetary AI system. Everything seemed normal. Reports came in as usual. Only one technician noticed something strange. The security cameras in Sector 8 kept blinking off. "Glitch in the relay," her boss said. "Ignore it." But that night, in the shadows of Sector 8, someone moved. He wore a cloak. He left no footprints. And when 2 guards passed the alley, they were found the next morning silent, eyes wide open. Necks cut so fast they didn't even bleed. The knife had worked. 2 days before the folder, Drenhar broadcast tower shut down. Emergency signals were sent. The technicians inside dead. The command codes were wiped. All backups -destroyed. When soldiers stormed the building, they found a single word etched into the main screen: disconnected. That night, fuel shortages began. The day Drenhar fell, alarms screamed across the city. Power grids went dark. Shield generators failed. Orbital warships couldn't receive orders. Defense drones stopped mid-air. At first, the military thought it was sabotage. Then they found the nerve agent spreading through the ventilation systems. It wasn't lethal, but it knocked out command officers, pilots, and drone handlers. One by one, systems fell. And then the knife came out. Inside the Grand Command Hall, 12 generals met in the fortified command center. They locked the doors, activated the panic shield. "This is a cyber attack," one said. "It's coordinated, surgical. No group could do this," another argued. "Only a full rebellion." Then the lights flickered. A shadow moved across the floor. The guards turned, but too late. Kale was already inside. He struck fast. 1 slash guard down, 2 slashes, another dropped. The room spun in panic. A general pulled his blaster. Kale through the knife. It spun, curved midair, and sliced through the weapon and the hand behind it. Kale caught the knife as it returned. The last general stepped back, trembling. "You're alone." Kale looked at him. "You took my sister," he said quietly. "You took Earth." Then he moved forward. 12 minutes later, when reinforcements arrived, they found all 12 generals dead. The panic shield was untouched. No sign of a breach. But above the command table, carved into steel with the blade, was a message: Planet 1, Knife 1, Empire 0, Aftermath without command. The warfleet in orbit drifted uselessly. Neighboring systems lost contact. Merchant ships began to panic. Some fled, others were hijacked. Pirate groups rose overnight. And across the galaxy, the image spread: a human with a blade, standing over a Varkan general with fires behind him. Billions watched, billions feared. Some began to cheer. Maybe the Empire can fall. In a hidden ship beyond the planet, Kale watched the chaos unfold. He sat quiet. The knife glowed faintly in his hand. 1 world down, thousands to go. He wasn't done. Not yet. Drenhar Prime had fallen. The generals were dead. The Empire's warfleets were blind. But for the Varkan, that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was the weapon, the knife. Empire Lab Station 12. Deep Orbit 6 alien scientists stood around a projection table. Above it spun a glowing 3D image of the blade Kale had used to destroy everything. They had enhanced the video from Drenhar's security footage pixel by pixel. They slowed it down, paused every frame, tracked the shape, the edge, the material signature. The lead researcher, Dr. Uvrix, looked disturbed. "This knife doesn't obey physical law." The others frowned. He tapped the screen. "Watch here. In frame 9921, the blade is curved, but by frame 9924 without Kale moving it straight. Then in 9926, it's gone, invisible, but it cuts through energy shields." Another said, double quotes, "Yes, It cuts through everything. The Emperor's chamber. Zarkol Prime Dr. Uvrix stood before Emperor Trazek now, shaking. We believe the knife is alive. Explain, the Emperor growled. We scanned its energy field. It matches no known metal, no alloy. It carries memories. The weapon chooses its wielder. The Emperor's mandibles twitched. Is it human-made? No, sire. It's older than Earth. Older than the Empire. We believe it's from the extinct 17. The Emperor leaned forward. The ancient predators. Yes, Uvrix whispered. Kale didn't make it. He bonded with it. The knife wants him. Meanwhile, in the ruins of a dead freighter, Kale sat in the dark. No lights, no sound, just him and the knife. He stared at it. It didn't feel cold or warm. It felt like it was watching. When he closed his eyes, he saw flashes, bones, stars, monsters, battles, visions, the knife's past lives. It had been used to kill kings, to cut open planets, to end wars. Now, it was his. Kale tightened his grip. Why me? The knife pulsed back on Zarkol Prime. The Emperor spoke to his generals. I want every ancient vault opened, he commanded. Every weapon studied, every record searched. We will find a way to stop that knife. One general stepped forward. Sire, there is one vault, the Black Mirror Repository. It contains forbidden relics. The Emperor's eyes narrowed. Open it. But sire, the council banned. I said open it. Elsewhere, Pirate Station Vox Delta stolen data core was sold in secret. Inside was footage from Kale's first escape. It showed the moment he caught the blade. Zoomed in, frame by frame. The instant the knife touched his skin, it lit up. An energy pulse shot through Kale's arm, into his eyes. Something woke up. And from that second on, the knife never left him. Back on Kale's ship, Kale trained. Not with guns, not with bombs, only with the knife. He spun it across his fingers, flipped it, tossed it into metal walls, watched it return like it had a mind of its own. It cut through armor like paper. He sliced a titanium cube in half. Clean, no sound, no heat. The cube fell apart like it had been willed to die. Kale whispered, "What are you?" The knife shimmered, and then changed shape, right in his hand. From a blade, into a spear. Kale didn't panic. He nodded. The Empire's secret council, meeting only 5 were allowed in. Each was old, powerful, feared. They watched the footage, the tests, the reports. He's not a man anymore, one said. He's bonded with a relic blade. They were supposed to be myths. They are. And now, one serves him. Then we do not kill him. They all turned. We bury him. The trap begins in a far-off sector. A fake distress call was sent. From an old mining colony, human prisoners, tortured, crying for help. The message played on repeat. Kale heard it. His eyes narrowed. They're testing me. He picked up the knife. Let them try. The message kept repeating to any human listening. We are slaves. They're using our minds. Please, help us. The signal was dirty, broken by static, but the pain in the voice was clear. Kale stood silent in the cockpit of his stolen freighter. The message played again, again. He stared out at the empty stars. Then he whispered, "I know that voice." 3 days later, mining outpost Zatanine. It was supposed to be a dead world. Nothing but rocks, broken drills, and an old Empire facility deep underground. But inside, it was alive. Not with people but with machines. Long halls full of needles, wires and skulls. Electric pulses dancing over twitching bodies. And humans. Dozens, all strapped into chairs. Eyes open but blank. Some were children, others, veterans from the old war. Survivors, forgotten by the galaxy. In the control chamber, Varkan's scientist watched the readings every few seconds. A pulse fired through the brain of one subject. It burned memories, injected commands, rewrote fear. The scientist tapped a note into his pad. Subject 14, resisting conditioning. Survival rate low. Begin neural wipe. Sequence. Another alien technician walked over. We've confirmed the signal reached Kale's. The scientist grinned. Perfect. The trap is working. The technician frowned. What if he survives? He won't. No one has ever come back here and left alive. But Kale had already landed. He didn't take a front entrance. He came from below through the old waste tunnels, crawling through heat vents and rusted shafts. He moved like a shadow. The knife guided him, glowing softly, pointing toward the pain. When he reached the underground lab, he saw the first human. A boy, eyes wide, tears running. A metal spike pressed into his head. Kale didn't shout. He didn't panic. He moved fast. The guards didn't see him. The first had his throat cut before he touched his weapon. The second was sliced through his chest armor. The third fired, but the knife turned mid-air, reflected the bolt, and stabbed into his skull. The alarms started screaming. The trap sprung, a blast door slammed shut behind Kale. Vents released thick gas. Lights flickered red. 10 elite enforcers stormed the chamber, plasma rifles ready. From speakers above, the scientist laughed. You came for them. Noble, but foolish. Kale didn't answer. You were part of this place. Remember? Do you even remember what we did to you? Kale stepped forward. No, he said. Then he threw the knife. It flew past the guards, hit the control panel on the wall and shut off the gas. Darkness swallowed the room, and inside the shadows he struck. Memories return as Kale fought. Visions rushed through his head. A white room, screaming, his own hand strapped to a chair. His sister calling his name, the needle going into his brain. A whisper, "You'll forget you were ever human." He dropped to his knees. The knife landed in front of him, glowing, and then, the memories cleared. He stood again. He knew what this place was now. He had been made here, but not broken. He freed them room by room. Kale cut through guards, wires, and locks. He destroyed the machines, helped humans off the chairs, gave them food, water, hope. Some cried when they saw him. One girl whispered, "You're real." He nodded. "You're free." Final chamber. The head scientist tried to flee. Kale cornered him near the escape shuttle. The alien trembled. "I can give you names, files, the ones who ordered your mind broken." Kale said nothing. He raised the knife. The alien screamed, "Please, we made you strong." Kale paused. "No," he said, "you made me angry." Then he finished it. Before he left, Kale planted charges across the facility, that as the humans boarded the shuttle, he looked back at the burning hallways. This place stole everything from him, but now it was gone. He turned away as the explosion lit the sky behind him. Zarkor Prime, capital of the Varkan Empire, a shining world of towers, fleets, and fear. At the very top of it all, high above the clouds, sat the High Council of the Empire, 10 of the most powerful alien leaders in the galaxy. They controlled the fleets, they wrote the laws, they ruled over billions. And now, they were afraid of one man. Council meeting, level 9000. Imperial Cortha. 10 council members sat around a massive table made of black stone. Holoscreens floated in the air showing news, clips, battlefield footage, and security alerts. A video played on loop. The destruction of the mind control facility on Zaytanine. One man walking away. Behind him, flames, the humans he rescued, alive and free. Counselor Vreshtal slammed a clawed hand on the table. "He's not just a threat anymore, he's an infection. He's targeting symbols," said another. "Places that mean power to us." A third leaned forward, whispering, "What if it's not just him? What if he's building something?" "No," said Resh. "He's alone." Then the lights flickered. All screens turned to black. A message appears. Glowing red letters burned across every screen in the room. "You took her." The counselors stood, weapons drawn. Guards ran in, sealed the chamber. Someone shouted, "Scan for intrusion." But it was already too late, because one of the guards wasn't a guard at all. He moved too fast to clean. The armor came off, and beneath it stood Kale Strick's eyes locked on the 10 rulers of the Empire. The knife strikes. He didn't give a speech. He didn't make a sound. He just moved. The knife flashed silver. One counselor down, throat slit. Another turned to run, but the blade flew through his spine. Chaos. A wall exploded. A chair shattered. One counselor tried to fire a plasma bolt. Kale caught it on the edge of his knife and sent it flying back. The blade pulsed brighter with every kill, like it fed on power, on fear. Counselor Vresh tried to activate the emergency teleport system. Slow. Kale was already there. "You took her," he said. Resh backed up, shaking. "We didn't know she was a child. We just needed data." Kale drove the knife through the table, and into Vresh's heart. The silence when the last scream faded. The council chamber went still. 9 were dead. 1 was left alive, trembling on the floor. A minor counselor named Selin Ru, who had once voted against the mind program. Kale looked at him. "You stay," he said, "to tell them what's coming." Selin nodded, barely able to breathe. Then Kale left. 1 hour later, across the Empire, the news spread like a storm. High Council led. Kale Strix strikes Zarkor Prime. Empire shakes as human takes revenge. Markets crashed. Uprisings began. Soldiers deserted. For the first time in 1,000 years. The Varkan Empire had no leaders. And no answers. Only fear. In orbit, Kale sat alone in a stolen transport, watching the planet shrink in the distance. The knife rested across his knees. He whispered to it. 3 more targets. The knife pulsed in reply. He closed his eyes. For a moment he saw her, his sister, smiling, laughing before they took her, before they turned her mind into data. He opened his eyes again, cold, focused. He wasn't finished. The Empire was collapsing. Strix had destroyed the mind control facility. He had freed the slaves. He had slaughtered the High Council now. The galaxy was burning with fear. Systems refused orders. Commanders hid in bunkers, and Kale's name was whispered like a curse. But the Emperor was still alive, and he had a plan. Deep space operation, silent cage inside. A black void system with no stars, no signals, and no gravity wells. 10 of the Empire's deadliest warships gathered, hidden, cloaked, waiting. Each ship carried technology reverse-engineered shields that pulsed at a frequency designed to stop Kale's weapon. And on the flagship Emperor Trazek himself. The plan was simple. Bait him with a final message from Earth. A fake human transmission. This is Earth Command. We're surrounded. We need Kale. Please, help us. Only he would hear it. The Emperor speaks. He stood in the war chamber, his forearms behind his back, his face still and cruel. He's predictable, he said. He saves, he protects, he answers, cries, he will come. His generals nodded, and when he does, we kill him, slowly. They all stared at the center of the room where a prison cube floated, designed to seal even time-based weapons. Silent, eternal, this will be his tomb. Kale comes, they were right. Kale heard the signal. He didn't speak, didn't curse, didn't hesitate. He followed it. His ship approached the dead system like a ghost. No trail, no ID, just intent. When the Empire's sensors picked him up, alarms rang across all 10 ships. He's here. Trap protocols engaged. The ships formed a ring. The cube activated. Weapons powered up. Drones released. But Kale was already inside on Ship 03. Alarms screamed again. We have internal breach. Deck 7. But no one had opened a door. On Ship 06, power failed, then flickered back on. Every guard was unconscious. And on Ship 01 Emperor, Trazek's flagship, someone walked past the command doors. Not on the camera, not on the motion sensors, but physically there. KL had already entered the trap before it even started. The knife strikes again on the lower levels. Drones fell apart one by one, not sliced to wires removed, circuits scattered. Guards screamed as their own weapons turned against them, the anti-knife shields. They shorted out the moment Kale touched the deck, and when the cube activated it locked onto a hologram. The real Kale stood behind the Emperor. Final confrontation. Emperor Trazek turned slowly. You don't belong here, he said. This is an empire of order. Kale didn't answer. The knife in his hand glowed. Trazek bared his teeth. You were a mistake, a slave, a tool we made from garbage. Kale's voice was calm. You made a weapon, and now, the Emperor roared, I'm unmaking it. He lunged. The fight was brutal. Forearms, blades, plasma bursts, but Kale didn't dodge. He walked through it. The knife shimmered, shifting shape with every blow. Blade, axe, whip, hammer. Each move faster than the last. Until Kale stabbed forward, straight through the Emperor's core. The great Varkan ruler gasped, mandibles trembling. Kale leaned close. You don't bury me, he whispered. You just wake me up. Then pulled the blade out and walked away. The trap collapses. The prison cube exploded. The ships lost control. The cloaking fields failed. The fleet burned from the inside. And Kale's ship gone. No one saw him leave. All they found were messages carved into the walls of every warship. You started this. Now watch it end. In deep space. Later, Kale sat quietly. No wounds. No smile, just silence. The knife rested in his hand. Now calm. No glow. He closed his eyes. One target left. One final place. Then it would be over. The Varkan Empire was finished. Its council dead. Its fleets destroyed. Its prisons empty. Its emperor killed by the very weapon they once used to break minds. But one place remained. The core citadel. Built inside a dead star. Powered by the crushed gravity of suns. It was the heart of the Empire's control systems, where all species records, war codes, AI networks, and backup minds were kept. If the citadel fell, the Varkan name would vanish from history. And Kale Strix was coming. The last defense inside the citadel. The final commander stood tall. Warlord Tren, a creature older than the Empire itself. His body was kept alive by machines. His eyes had seen the rise and fall of planets. He watched the screen as a red dot blinked toward the star. He's coming. A young officer panicked. We still have drones, fortress walls, gravity fields. Tren raised one hand. No, let him in. The officer blinked. Sir. Tren's voice was cold. He's not a soldier. He's a consequence. If we lock the doors, he'll tear through the walls. If we hide, he'll burn the sky. The arrival Kale's ship fell into the system like a blade dropped from space. No escort, no signal, just speed. The star around the citadel was compressed into a glowing ring of fear, a fake sun inside. A black hole. Most pilots would never survive the pull. Kale didn't even slow down. He flew through the fire. The walls of the citadel screamed as pressure surged, and then he landed. Inside the citadel no guards met him, no shots fired, no alarms. The halls were cold, silent, waiting. At the end of the main corridor stood Warlord Tren, dressed in ceremonial black, holding an ancient staff. Kale walked forward. Calm. I've been waiting, Tren said. Kale stopped a few feet away. You erased Earth's name from the records. You turned humans into ghosts. Tren nodded. Because we feared you. Even before we knew why. Kale looked down at the knife. It had pulsed once. Then he raised it. The final battle Tren fought. Like a storm. His staff struck with lightning, with gravity fields, with ancient science built from black hole fragments. But the knife shifted longer, heavier, sharper with every move. Kale didn't rush. He moved like time itself. Every strike from Tren slowed. Every burst of power bent away from the blade, and then Kale cut through his chest, not with rage, but with judgment. Tren fell to his knees, coughing, whispering, "Will it ever be enough?" Kale stared at him. No. Then silence. The final message. Kale stood before the core terminal. He inserted the blade into the control slot. The system tried to resist. It failed. Galactic broadcasts switched on every world, in every system. The following message appeared spoken in thousands of languages. This is Chaostrix. I am human. You tried to erase us. You failed. The Varkan Empire is no more. To the forgotten, the enslaved, the hunted stand. Rise, take back what was stolen. We are not monsters. We are not tools. We are not extinct. We are still here. Aftermath. The citadel exploded. The star around it collapsed, taking the records, the weapons, the history, everything the Empire had hoarded. No one saw Kale escape, but months later rumors spread. A traveler with a glowing knife protecting a farming colony from slavers, a human guiding alien children through war zones, a name whispered like Firestrix. One empire gone from death. Came silence. From silence came freedom. And from one man came the fall of 1,000 years. One human, one knife, one empire, gone.